Here we are at the NOAA conference in Zurich in wonderful Switzerland. I have another fantastic guest here on the We Don't Have Time TV show. If you could say your name and your affiliation.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Tono. I'm the co-founder and CEO of EV.
EV, right.
Yes.
So what is EV? What are you bringing to the table here in NOAA? What's it all about, and how is it going to make a better world for us all?
That's a great question. EV is an employee engagement tool for large corporations focused on climate. So we're in the business of cultural transformation. We're working with big corporations to help them onboard all of their employees on this journey and to help them foster a climate-friendly work culture so that they can achieve their decarbonization goals quickly, because at the end of the day, everyone has to be brought on board. 100 million employees today already work for companies that have made formal climate commitments. Mm-hmm. Most of them don't even know that these commitments have been made. And
right.
They're the ones who are supposed to be implementing the decarbonization changes. So we help our clients run campaigns to engage and reward their employees for climate action.
Okay, so let's imagine how it might work. So say I'm working in a, I don't know, maybe I'm working in a, what would I like to work in? Maybe I'm working in a shoe factory, yes. Right? And that shoe factory set a net zero target to decarbonize their operations and their products and maybe up and down their supply chains. How would I, an employee, then know what they've done and what I'm supposed to do? How might the campaign look?
So for us, the main thing is about behavior change, empowering and facilitating behavior change. So at the end of the day, we sit down with our clients and we see what are their requirements, what are things that they could be doing where they want their employees' involvement to improve their decarbonization efforts. So could be an easy example, in a shoe factory, they could be wanting to make sure that when the employee leaves his place, that he makes sure that he switches off some device to save energy. Something little practical that could become a behavior, and then they run the switch off the device campaign, and basically through our tool invite all of the employees to participate. And our tool then helps these individual employees every day make sure that they form the behavior to do that action. And at the end of the day, when they've managed to do that, they're rewarded in any certain way. Our default reward is trees. They get a tree that they can plant in projects of their liking as an additional impact that's being generated as a reward for their behavior change. So yeah, that could be one possible campaign out of dozens that could be run one after the other.
Right. And in this campaign, will the employee learn a little bit about what climate change is and why it's something that needs to be addressed?
Absolutely. So the app basically through which they engage in the campaigns is in the first stage is a solution that helps them not only understand what is their impact on the environment. They have a calculator in there. It's gamified. They have leaderboards where they compare. They see how are they good or are they not good. So there's lots of little elements where we try to make it very practical for them. But our main kind of mission is to accelerate climate action, and that means we're learning by doing, if you want. So every day that you do something, we then say, okay, what was the impact of you have done? And what is the impact of all of us doing this together? And what does that actually mean for our environment?
Yeah. So I think it's interesting from many angles because, there's still people coming out of school, there's people going to university who then go on to the world of work that still don't really know about these things. They may have picked up a bit in a science lesson at school. There might have been something at the university. They went on a demo or, there's still a lot of people quite ignorant about what climate change is and what we're supposed to do about it. And I think politically in some places that can make it difficult for governments. But if you are going to take a company, run a campaign, get people engaged in what is climate change and what can you do about it, and it's very directly about their livelihoods and the success of their company, then you're actually probably doing something also to create better citizens who are maybe even more engaged in the political process. So the spin-offs could be enormous.
Absolutely, and that's also what we offer to them. Like, obviously they have the campaigns, and that's what they're kind of doing, the collective goals they're trying to achieve through these campaigns. But at the same time, they can use our tool, our app, work on their own things, and the company still will reward them. So they will reward them more for the campaigns, but they will also just reward them for in generally forming climate-friendly behaviors, habits over time, and everyone goes at their own speed. Everyone is able to do certain things or other certain things, and we really try to empower and facilitate that process.
Where did you get this idea from?
Iteration and testing and prototyping and seeing what works and what doesn't work. But I think the one main kind of driver for us was exactly what you say, like, it's so confusing and there's like so many things we could be doing and there's so much information about there, and it's so difficult to actually engage with climate. And it's like, at the end of the day, we thought we need something to be extremely actionable and we need something to make a massive impact. So at the end of the day, we're lucky to come into contact with lots of companies that said we want to empower and engage and reward our employees because we need them to be on board. We need them to have that mindset in order to take us into the future. And so doing that step by step, I mean, that's the mantra of behavior change, is taking things one tiny little step at a time and building up your habit stacks one after the other.
Because I think I was listening to, Johan Rockström at the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impacts, and I think it was either he or one of his colleagues that said probably half of the emission reductions for the achievement of the Paris Agreement will come from technologies, but there's also a big chunk, maybe half, that will have to come from behavioural change. And so, in a sense, that's the business you're in a little bit, yeah?
Absolutely, and I think it's even like 39% or something that we can change in. So I think it's 65% of all global greenhouse gas emissions are created through our consumption. So if you turn around the chart where you say, okay, 1/4 energy, 1/4, etc., all of this is being produced to serve our purposes. So obviously, the more we consume, the more we are unattentionate or unconscious about our actions, the impact of our actions, the more emissions are being generated. So that's why the less energy we use, the more mindful we are how we eat, the more mindful we are how we move, will all require less kind of that output coming. So it has a massive impact, obviously, on scale. So that's why we're super excited to be working together. We call them our impact partners with corporations, because we see them as a massive lever, because in most cases they have 10 or 20 or 100,000 employees, and they're being collectively put into this pot where they're working together for a great cause and for a return on investment for the corporations, because if they reduce their scope 3 emissions, that's money saving for them. Creating this awareness, and then hopefully everyone at the end of the day is working for these big corporations, more or less. So hopefully we can scale this big.
And this is happening, what, in Switzerland or Germany or?
Everywhere. I mean, most of our clients are multinational companies, which is fun, because then they can compare how's American team doing versus the Taiwanese team, or the, I don't know, everywhere in the world. And that's what we built our technology to be globally functioning and scalable,
All right. So we're also in a bit of behavioural change as well. We don't have time, because we like to just show everybody a number that keeps getting bigger. There it is, you see. And I know you know, Antonius, because we just talked about it. But yeah, that's how much the governments have spent on fossil fuel subsidies since Glasgow, the UN climate conference. So that's like 3.5, 4 weeks. So annually it'll be even bigger. You could probably use a big slice of that to actually change the behavior of all the companies in the world through campaigns.
I think we could put that to much better use.
Yeah, you had an idea, I think you said.
Because I saw you broke that down to, I think it was like 11 million per minute.
US dollars,
And that immediately made me think, well, 11 million could be put into helping a climate tech companies like ours scale every minute.
Yeah. That's a brilliant idea.
One scaling company every minute.
Every minute.
Solving the important problems.
So that would be 60, that would be 60 in an hour. How many hours are there in a day? 24. I can't do the maths, but it's a lot of startups over a year, all around the world.
Yes, and at the same time, I don't think that really brings in big returns for society, for environment, and for the investors' pockets. So
no, investors are making no return on investing in fossil fuels.
Climate tech is most cases a return business. So
exactly, yeah, brilliant. So thanks very much for being on We Don't Have Time TV. I hope everything works out here at NOAA, and best of luck with your enterprise. It sounds really interesting.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.